Today we are going to discuss about alternating group, and after that we will discuss on Fermat-Little theorem. First, let's discuss on alternating group. Let we have a set having some elements. I am taking a small example here. Let S is a subgroup and having three elements A, B and C. If you want to write the all permutations, the set of all permutations, then it will be written as the combination A, B, C. Let us suppose A is associated with A, B is B, with C is C. This is identity permutation and so on. You are writing all the possible set of permutations here, and we know that this set of permutation can be written as, every set of permutations can be written as a cyclic way. It means a linear representation can be written. If let us suppose A is associated with B and B is associated with C, so you can write it as A is associated with C. This is the cyclic notation. If you are writing the set, you are taking the elements, means permutations, and making a group. Then let us suppose this is one permutation, this is second permutation, this is third permutation and so on, and these are the fourth permutation, and this is a group. If this is the group, then these four elements, these individual permutations will satisfy all four properties of a group. If this group G contains only even permutations means the number of transpositions will be even. So let us suppose this permutation can be written as the transposition, this permutation can be written as a transposition, and the number of transpositions are even, then this group G is called alternating group. So I am summarizing it again. If you are generating a group with permutations, it means the permutations will be treated as an elements, and these elements are satisfying four properties of group. And if these permutations can be written as the even number of transpositions, then such group is called alternating group. So mathematically, alternating group can be written as S or S1. You can take here any notation, or you can write here simply S. It will contains the elements alpha, and the nature of alpha will be, it will be a even permutation. It means the alternating group will contains only even permutations. This is the simple definition of alternating group. An alternating group can be represented by an, where this notation n is representing to the number of elements in the set by which we are generating total permutations. Here this set S is containing n elements, so the alternating group is generating from this set, so this n is used here. Here it is again written that if S1 is a group, then at least identity will belongs to this group, so S1 cannot be empty. If S1 is not empty, then it will contain some elements. It means this S1 will be the subset of Sn, where Sn is the set of total number of permutations. And if this S1 having two elements alpha and beta, and we are getting their product, then we will always get the even number of permutations, because these are the even number and these are the even number. If we are multiplying even by even, then result will be an even. So this group will hold all properties of alternating group. It means the closure will be satisfied here. Here we have written the definition of alternating group, and as we know that we have already proved in our last lecture. I hope that lecture was taken in last week, and in that lecture we have proved that the total number of odd permutation and even permutation will be equal, and that will be factorial n by 2, where factorial n will be the total number of permutations, and from these half will be odd and half will be even. So any alternating group will contains factorial n upon 2 elements. It means the total number of permutations in this alternating group will be factorial n by 2. So this is the definition. Now we will discuss another topic, Fermat-Little theorem. However, this topic is not directly taken from group theory or abstract algebra. This is the topic of number theory, but this topic is useful in the problems of network and cyber security and cryptography. This is the very useful theorem, but here the major involvement of this theorem is not in the abstract algebra, but it is given in the syllabus, so I am taking this theorem also. The statement of Fermat state that if P is a prime, you all know that what is a prime number. A number will be prime if it is either divisible by 1 or divisible by itself, and A is another natural number, and the GCD of A and P, this is the notation to write the GCD of greatest common divisor of A and P is 1. It means 1 is the largest number which will divide to A as well as it will divide to P. So GCD is 1. Then the A to the power P minus 1 will be divisible by P. It is the statement which is given by Fermat, and mathematically it is written as A to the power P minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo P. The meaning of this line is if you divide this A to the power P minus 1, then remainder will be 1, which I have mentioned here. If you are writing this, then remainder will be 1. This will be proved by binomial theorem. This is the statement of binomial theorem. Here we are taking together these first and last term. These are written here. Here you know that the value of PC1 will be equal to P. This will be P into P minus 1 upon factorial 2 and so on. It means these all terms, these all n minus 1 terms will contains a factor P. So these will be divisible by P. So here we are writing this as a function of P, but we are taking together these first and last term. These are the first and last term. So this will be the remainder and this will be the quotient, and so it can be written as per this definition. This will be written as the congruent of this term under modulo P. So this is the required result. If this is the result for two variables, if we have some more variables, it means number of variables are A, then this result will be written in this manner. This is the general result. If we are taking the equal value of all elements and that will be equal to 1, then we will write here 1 plus 1 plus 1. It means you are adding 1 plus 1 as A times. As you are note that if you are adding 1 plus 1, it means you are adding it 2 times, then result will be 2. If you are adding it 3 times, that 1 plus 1 plus 1, then result will be equal to 3. You are adding 1 as A times, so the result will be equal to A, and similarly here 1 to the power P will be equal to 1. This is 1 plus 1 plus 1 and so on A times, so this will be equal to A. So this is the result. Here we are dividing both side by A. If we are dividing both side by A, then this term will gives A to the power P minus 1. Here we will get here 1. So the meaning of this term is if you are dividing A to the power P minus 1 by P, then remainder will be equal to 1. It can be understood by this example. Here if we divide 22 by 7, then we get the remainder 1. If I subtract this remainder from this term, from this number, if I subtract remainder from 22, then this final result will be divisible by 7. If you subtract remainder from a term, then that term will be divisible by that number, and in this scenario the remainder will be equal to 0. So if this left hand side I subtract 1 from left hand side, it means I write it A to the power P minus 1, then this term will be divisible by P. It means A to the power P minus 1 will be congruent to 0 under modulo P. It means if I divide it under modulo P, if I divide this term by P, then it will be divisible and remainder will be 0. So this is the required result for which is given in Fermat statement. So here A to the power P minus 1 will be divisible by P. In case of any difficulty to understand this theorem or previous example, you can contact me. Today we have completed our 3 units, but in your midterm examination the question will be asked from first 2 units, and in next 3 lectures I will discuss the problems of first 2 units. So be prepared and search some problems for asking in next 3 days.